Okay, I just want to welcome you all to our Monday, April 28th, 2025 regular board meeting. It's kind of a big night for us. We have two new members. I just want to welcome, we all want to welcome Alex Minot and Jeanette Cannell as our new board members. We're going to proceed. What's that? Okay. We're going to start with a roll call. Kinsey?
Cannell, Minnow, Lear, or Lee,
Here.
Gerlach, here, Lyerly,
Here.
McCoy,
Here.
Becker.
Here.
Okay, and joining us at the table are two ICSC students. Can you please introduce yourselves?
Hello, my name is Andres Mora. I'm a senior at Preble High School, and I'm the Green Bay Intercity Student Council president.
Hello, my name is Gwendolyn Echek, and I'm a freshman at Preble, and I'm a alternate on the Intercity Student Council.
Okay, welcome. All right, would you all rise for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Next is our mission statement. Alex?
We educate all students to be college, career, and community ready, inspired to succeed in our diverse world.
Thank you. Next is our land acknowledgement. We, the members of the Green Bay Area Public School District, recognize and honor the original inhabitants of Northeast Wisconsin. Our district lives, works, and learns upon the ancestral homelands of the Oneida and Ho-Chunk nations and the current homeland of Oneida Nation. We acknowledge the 12 diverse and vibrant Wisconsin First Nations who have persevered here since before recorded time and continue to be integral parts of our community. We uphold our responsibility to repair relationships, initiate partnerships, and stand with all First Nations communities. Right. Next, on our agenda under recognition, we have some big people to acknowledge tonight. The Green Bay Area Public School District has been honored to have more than 100 Golden Apple Award-winning educators. Tonight, we would like to recognize this year's recipients. Please come forward and have a seat at the table. First is Dina Shyway. Yay. Jason Krings and Scott Stromberger. Thank you for joining us tonight. And we would love it if you would just kind of share what this has meant to you and so that we can recognize you and your accomplishments. Hit the microphone.
Hi, I'm Dina. For me, it has meant a lot because my students don't all have the ability to voice their opinions or much of anything. So to be able to be recognized is kind of very special for me.
Okay.
My name is Jay Krings. I teach at Southwest. It's just been a really humbling experience. I mean, I love doing what I do, getting to shut the door and just help kids learn, usually history, social studies, and love taking them on field trips and National History Day experiences. And I like to think it's a place where they feel at home, and it just feels like kind of, I guess I'm not always very good at accepting positive feedback. My wife says she's like, just kind of revel in it, but it's been just kind of an affirmation of, how much work I put in and how much the kids mean to me and how much I try to reach out to them. So it's been a really special experience and it's pretty humbling. So thank you.
Yeah, my name's Scott Stromberger. I teach 8th grade science at Edison, and yeah, it's a huge honor to be recognized and, you know, have my students, you know, kind of be a part of it, right? So they're really excited that I do all these kind of cool things with them. You know, I try to incorporate a lot of outdoor activities, and I've built, you know, through grants, the outdoor spaces for them, and they love just being outside and kind of learning all those new things, right? And just kind of having just those extra opportunities, right? And that's just kind of what keeps me going, right? I love teaching kids and having them grow and learn and seeing them at the farmers market and learning all the cool things that they're doing, right? It's really rewarding, and yeah, it's an honor to get that recognition from my peers. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
How long have each of you been in the district?
13 years.
22 years, same classroom.
5 years.
Okay.
On behalf of the administrative team, we are so proud of you. I know I had the chance to say that to you the night of Golden Apple, but we're really, really proud of you. It's been a while since we've had this many people honored at the Golden Apple. So obviously you really stood out to the people that were judging. Thank you for everything that you do.
Absolutely. Go ahead, Lynn.
You just intrigued me, Dina, because you said your students can't speak for themselves, and I'm thinking, what do you teach and where do you teach?
Thanks for that. I forgot to say all that. So I'm Dina Shyway. I'm at Beaumont Elementary, and I teach students with severe intellectual disabilities as well as students with autism. So we're working a lot on social skills and communication skills, basic things so that students can get their needs met, and just kind of have a basic understanding of how to do things on their own and become more independent.
Did anyone else have any? Go ahead, Koo.
First of all, congratulations, and it's an honor to be in your presence. This really means a lot, in my opinion, to the community. Especially, we have so many students from different diverse backgrounds, and to have this recognition, recognizing you, and I think that you represent the whole teacher body here in the district. How much you guys put into your classroom, your students. And I just want to say congratulate, and I want you to continue that. Green Bay is going to do some wonderful things, and thank you so much for everything you do.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay. Again, on behalf of the Board of Education, thank you. Thank you for joining us tonight so that we can recognize you. And I know that Lori Blakesley is very much wanting a picture with you guys and the board. So we're going to go to the background over there and do a quick photo. Is that okay? All right. All right. We're all back in place. All right. The next thing on our agenda is Clean Energy Award. GBAPS was recognized and awarded a 2024 Clean Energy Honor Roll Award at the Renew Summit 2025 in Madison. McKinstry submitted the nomination on behalf of GBAPS. I'd like to invite Sean Curry to come and speak a few words about this award.
Yeah, please join.
Anybody who was part of the Clean Energy Advisory Committee, if you would please come up and join us at the table. Oh, scoot on over. Greetings.
Greetings, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Thank you for having us. I'm Sean Curry, a project director with McKinstry. And to my right, we have Nick Lawbush, senior executive account manager with McKinstry. And who do we have here with us?
My name is Kendall Blonick, and I'm a freshman at Preble High School. My name is Gwendolyn Echek, and I'm a freshman at Preble High School.
Thank you for having us. As Laura was mentioning, we did nominate Green Bay Area Public School District for the Clean Energy Honor Roll. They have this once a year down in Madison at Renew Summit. Bay School District was one of 4 school districts that were honored, along with about 6 or 7 other commercial businesses and institutions. So it's a very great honor to have, and congratulations to the public school district and with your stewardship and with the school district and facilities department, as well as the sustainability committee and the students, of course, as well. So that was for the 2 projects that were completed last year, King Elementary and Lombardi Middle School. They were both finished up in the summer of 2024 and fall of 2024 as well.
Great.
So I'd just like to acknowledge to the leadership team and the board, Laura and board members who were at the committee meetings, certainly Lynn's leadership early on with this. So it's been great to be a small part of that. Kale and team with Luann and Paul have been excellent to work with, and great to see the district carrying out their sustainability mission while they have a lot of other things going on with all of the referendum work. And it looks like you're going to carry that through with some of that work. And we're still efforting to get some additional federal funding for the district. So as Laura said, it's kind of a race to the money. So we're working closely to do that. So honored to do that and really appreciate the student input. They're certainly the smartest ones at the table. I feel not so bright when they start talking, but thanks everyone for having us. So appreciate it.
Thank you. I don't know how many people in this room kind of know the kind of the genesis of our sustainability committee. It started pre-COVID. Some people reached out and we passed a resolution committing to sustainability by 2050. And then COVID happened and a lot of things got derailed. But we were able to come back from that and put together this committee. And we've had a lot of amazing people serve on this, serve and who are currently serving on this committee, and have just, with your guidance and leadership, been able to put together a plan, and I think a really good plan and a realistic plan to get us and to fulfill this commitment that we've made, which our board takes really seriously. And here we are. We've okayed the plan. We're going to keep going. And this new school that we're building, I don't know if you all have been out there, but they're moving a lot of dirt around over there, and especially in the area where the geothermal is going to go underneath the parking lot. That's happening, and I don't know. I'm just really have always been really proud of this work. And I think it's something that our district shows the leadership of our district in this, in not just in this area, but in the state. So thank you. Thank you very much for this recognition.
Thank you.
Okay, we're gonna do another picture, guys.
Just move us around where you want us.
Drive safe, Sean.
All right, we're all good? All right, we're gonna move on with our agenda. The next thing is our Intracity Student Council report.
All right. So first up on our report, we have East High School, and their soccer girls senior night will be tomorrow. Their CNA program has started their clinics. Their FFA banquet is going to be on Friday. The play that goes wrong is going to come up on May 2nd and the 3rd. Students participated at Trees for Tomorrow, and 5 students participated in the HOSA State Leadership Conference in Wisconsin Dells.
So next we have John Dewey, and John Dewey did a Blizzard football team visit, and they played with the rugby class. Paws and Claws Camp visited the Whistler's Run and Rescue Farm weekly to learn and help out the farm. Trees for Tomorrow went on two hikes and participated in a Baird's Creek conservation opportunity.
And then I don't have a slide for NEW School of Innovation, but they had their Spring Spirit Week this week. Their students are currently attending an NWTC job fair. They had a Tibetan monk presentation, and they collected and donated resources for local pet shelters.
Rebel Marching Band and Jazz Band performed in New Orleans last weekend. Jazz Band performing at the Tarleton Theater on Thursday. Preble Student Council is hosting their last blood drive on April 30th. Preble DECA members are currently competing at ICDC in Orlando, Florida. State Solo Ensemble is on Sunday, and the Preble Pride 5K is on May 10th. Girls soccer team beat Southwest last week. Preble girls soccer currently has 8-2 record. Preble softball team currently has a 13-0 record. Next year's musical was announced to be School of Rock.
Over at Southwest, so Southwest students participated in HOSA State. Juniors celebrated prom, and they're going to have a greenhouse sale on May 2nd and on May 3rd.
West's NHS induction ceremony was on April 17th with 7 new inductees. 8th grade transition night is on April 30th. Boys golf had a 18-hole game today. Girls soccer has a game tomorrow at Menasha. This Thursday is parent night for girls soccer. There's a track meet tomorrow at West. Freshman tailgate event with girls soccer has moved to May 15th. Study tables for AP Human Geography students will be hosted by Link Crew next week.
And that's all that we have for you today.
So we had one of our bands down in New Orleans, the Preble Band.
Yeah, so I went with them. We left on Friday. We came back on Wednesday. So we drove down there for their New Orleans Easter Parade, and then the jazz band also performed there at, I forgot what it was called. We played for Loyola University. They had a clinic there, and it was really fun. It was a fun trip.
I saw some pictures on Facebook, but it's just great to hear about it a little bit more. So the greenhouses, our district's greenhouses are really coming along. So if you need gifts for Mother's Day, I highly recommend that. They're wonderful. So, all right. Thank you. Moving on to public forum, we have one speaker who has signed up. Is there anyone else in the audience who wanted to speak? If you do, please fill out one of these pink forms and give it to Kenzie. So we have Jamie Wall who would like to, you can go right at the podium there. Yep.
Right. Thank you. If this is like any other board I've been in front of, I live at 1241 Law Street in Green Bay. I'm here because last November I was elected to represent the state senate district that we're standing in, which is almost all of Green Bay, and then Ashwaubenon, Alloway, Bellevue, and De Pere, and a little bit of Lawrence and Rockland to the south as well. GBAPS is one of 5 school districts that are within my Senate district, and you're by far the largest. First of all, thank you all for your public service. I've always thought that school board is actually one of the tougher jobs in local government. You're operating within a box that the state draws for you, and that box sometimes I'm sure feels a little constraining. I'm now one of the people who's somewhat responsible for drawing that box, I guess. So the first thing I'd want to say is just that, you know, my door is open to you, anybody in the school board. I've had the chance to meet all of you over time, as well as to Vicky and her staff here too. The work you do here is, I would argue, the most important of any local government body in my district. The success of the children of the Green Bay Public Schools is going to drive the success of this community much more than any mayor or board member in municipal government. And I'm a product of public education. When I was, not too much older than the students at the table here, thanks to the investments the taxpayers had made in the schools for me and in the University of Wisconsin, the world sort of opened up in front of me. And what I've done is, whatever I've done in my life is a product of that trust that this community placed in me. And every kid, no matter who they are, no matter who their parents are, no matter what they do, no matter what they look like, deserves the same kind of chance to get ahead and get off to a good start in life. And that's what I believe, and it's one of the reasons I ran. I'm still wet behind the ears. I'm still learning, but education and funding and protecting and improving public education is a big part of my own personal agenda in state government. I'd like to use you all on occasion as part of my sort of education kitchen cabinet. You guys are, here where the rubber meets the road, and we can make your jobs easier or harder with funding decisions, with regulations around you. But ultimately, you're the guys, you're the people who are in the classrooms, who are supporting the people in the classrooms, and that's where the magic happens. And our small children turn into young adults, turn into successful adults who drive the society and provide the foundation of our democracy. So, no pressure. That's, I guess, really all I had to say. Again, I'm very easy to find here. If you come to Madison, please do look me or my staff up as well. And if it's appropriate, I'll take questions. Otherwise, I can leave you get on with your busy agenda here, Laura. Yeah.
Not sure about that. We can't ask you questions.
Okay.
During the forum, but we are about to do a legislative update.
Okay.
So, I don't know that
If you would like.
if you would like to hear it.
Absolutely, I would. So
Okay.
maybe I'll learn something, to be honest. All right.
I don't know.
Thanks.
All right. Thank you very much, Jamie. All right. Next on our agenda, under discussion, is the superintendent update.
Thank you. Kenzie's going to pull it up for us. I could do a repeat of the students. Okay, this is a continuation of a focus on our intentional engagement. At the Screenagers viewings, Amy has done a remarkable job. She, in collaboration with the Pupil Services team, although you can't tell in this picture, the attendance has been very good. And so good that in anticipation of bringing a cell phone policy to the board in May, we are going to be holding a viewing for our staff coming up. Is it the end of May? On April 2nd, School Board President McCoy and I had the privilege of testifying in front of the Joint Finance Committee hearing. Really grateful to Jamie for having been in attendance there. He's not part of the committee, but him being present meant he was interested in hearing what we had to say about the budget. We focused primarily, for those that hadn't heard, primarily on increasing special education reimbursement. Dr. Bailey struck again. He's a generous man in our community, and recently he made an amazing donation to our students that are part of the West High School Bridges construction program. He catered lunch for the students and gave them new Milwaukee power tools. Just and a wonderful example of what it means to give back. The board already acknowledged tonight our Golden Apple winners. Can't stress enough what a great honor this is to be recognized. They compete with educators across the region. So to have 3 win was a great example for Green Bay Area Public School District. We also have our own staff recognition awards, May 19th here at district office. It's right before our board meeting. We recognize 8 of our own staff for their contributions. They are nominated by their peers and voted on by their peers. So we'll have a chance to recognize these 8 coming up. I had the great opportunity of running over to McCullough Elementary School and popping into a couple of classrooms. Ms. Crowley's 5th grade classroom and the 4K classroom of Ms. Wawrunek. There we go. Any opportunity board members have of getting into classrooms and watching the skill of our educators, I encourage you to. These 2 knocked it out of the park. They challenged their students to think differently. Students weren't afraid to respond to questions. The atmosphere in those classrooms was amazing. Kelly Rowland is the principal over there, and he's doing a great job. On the left, I had a chance to visit Ms. Hocker's classroom over at Da Vinci. She incorporated physical activity with a game involving unique strategy that I'd never seen before. And I was going to try to get the name of the game. I will let you know at some point. But the way the students really engaged in it, she's an amazing teacher, and it was very creative. On the right-hand side, Howe Elementary recently had their showcase. It features student artwork, musical talent, and physical education skills. It fell on Principal Calionen's birthday, so the students surprised her with a rendition of Happy Birthday. And I think, Lynn, you were there for that event. Over at Jackson Elementary, they're continuing their quilting activity where they work with community volunteers. They celebrated the completion of 35 quilts recently, and those quilts are then donated to local families in need. Our own Lori Blakesley, just last week, presented at the WASDA State Convention. Her topic was empowering communities, effective communication and engagement for referendum success. I attended an event at the Botanical Garden recently that brought people together from UWGB, St. Norbert College, NWTC, and our district. It was an opportunity to celebrate our community, and I wanted to thank our Director of Engagement, Ingrid Parker Hill, for coordinating this event. I hope you heard that Wisconsin Secretary Sarah Godlewski was recently in the district. She came to Martin Elementary and presented a check for $1.9 million from the Wisconsin Commons School Fund. This is an annual aid for schools to help purchase library books and other instructional materials. Of course, Laura mentioned the groundbreaking on the new West Side Elementary School, which tonight will formally be named. We can stop calling it the new West Side Elementary School. West High School was recognized for being a great community partner leading up to and including last week's draft. West High School was utilized during the draft by law enforcement to ensure a safe environment for our community. And speaking of the draft, I challenged our staff and administrators at the start of the school year to be more intentional about our community engagement, and they've been knocking it out of the park all year. This is just one example. The BOE Fest was that on Friday or Saturday? I think it was Friday. Rained, but it was wonderful. This picture, the large one in the middle, is Jackie Hauser. She's our director of special education. She took the call to be intentional with community engagement seriously by joining the West Side Rotary, and they were one of the nonprofit groups that was at the BOE Fest. In addition, from HR, Cami Wendricks was helping out Mad Dog and Merrill with their tent. And we want to thank the NFL and specifically the Packers and the Boys and Girls Club for providing opportunities for our students to be involved last week. 2 of our students were on stage to help announce the second round pick, a student from Da Vinci and an East student. And part of their recognition was because of their partnership and work with the Boys and Girls Club. So special shout out to Aaron Popke and Mark Murphy with the Packers for including our students. And that is it.
James.
I just have to say that watching those students on stage in front of literally hundreds of thousands of people, they were 2 of the most confident individuals and were a pleasure to watch. And it was very, very proud to see them up on stage just command the stage, probably better than many of the other presenters. So.
Anybody else? That was packed full of good news. Thank you. All right, we're going to move on to the legislative update, and that was a position that was held by Brian Mills, but this month it's going to be James Lyerly is going to handle that. So go ahead, James.
Quickly, so board members, I did email a shared document to everyone before the meeting, and really that's for reference and for continued reference as this legislative session continues. It starts with the first page. It's just a kind of a listing of all the executive actions that may be impactful to our district, and they're being followed by DPI, followed by our internal staff and council. Just wanted to make sure that everyone was aware of that list. Then as you go down, there is an active, I don't know how well attended it is, but an active legislative session that is ongoing. There is Assembly Bill number 2, and I think we are proactively addressing this. And this is a bill that requires school boards to adopt a policy to prohibit the use of wireless communication devices during instructional time. It has passed the Assembly. It's waiting for scheduling in the Senate. Just that we're tracking, and there are requirements that we want to make sure that we address those requirements as well for exceptions to an emergency use. I did, if you're following in the document, highlight some rows in gray, and those are the only ones that I'm going to be touching on tonight because there are many that I wanted to make sure I was being comprehensive and inclusive, but some are more impactful than others. Assembly Bill 5, Senate Bill 22, Curriculum Transparency. We have open records request laws that we have to abide by. Any parent can actually request access to our curriculum materials. What this bill does is it puts a 14-day deadline for us to respond to those requests out there, and it codifies that. Assembly Bill 6, Senate Bill number 32 is interesting, and it actually has a co-author from a local assembly person. Requires that 70% of our school district budget be spent on direct classroom expenditures, teachers, aides, instructional materials. It's obviously a high bar. And right now, there are questions because the enumeration of expenditures from my read really don't match up well with how our line item budget reads. And so really looking for clarification as to what really is direct classroom instruction so that we can make sure that if it passes, we are in compliance. Skipping down to Assembly Bill 48, Senate Bill 67, we've seen this before. It's school meal reimbursement, free meals for all. That's been added back to the docket and is in the Education Committee. Assembly Bill 60, Senate Bill 58, and I'm going to take a couple of them back to back. The next row down as well, Assembly Bill 71. These pertain to referendum. The first one increases the amount of information we have to add to the referendum question that we put on the ballot to include the fiscal impact to a medium valued single family home for the referendum, any kind of interest accrued if bonding is required, and any defeasance fees there. So in reading this and understanding what we already have to put into the question, it feels extraordinarily complicated for someone to read and understand. But that's what that is about. The next one down, a school district operating referenda. I think this is an attempt to fundamentally change a district's ability to raise operational funds above and beyond the spending caps because it limits referenda to single expenditure, non-recurring expenses, which would make raising operational funds very difficult, and it caps the duration of that referendum to 4 years. So, and then Assembly Bill 103, Senate Bill 120 requires parental consent for student pronoun and name changes used in the classroom. Those are several of the 20 some odd bills that are making their way through the legislature right now. Included in the table topic, the status, and it's intended to be a table if whoever opts in to be the legislative liaison would be somewhere where we can record the status changes over time through the session and to keep the board kind of abreast of how these bills are progressing. So with that, I'll open the floor if there's any questions. Hearing none. Right.
Okay, thank you. I'm that document is going to be, I have already found it to be very, very useful to kind of see it, all those bills in one place and be able to really look at them. So thank you for putting that together. All right, we're going to move on to the next on our agenda is City of Green Bay property tax bill update. That's gonna be my thing. So I just prepared something. It's easier for me to kind of make sure I all the points by putting something together. So I think you're all aware that on April 15th, the City Council voted to include the following line on the informational portion of the City of Green Bay's property tax bill. Quote, of the amount levied to GBAPS, $8,991,023.65 is for the purpose of private school vouchers. I just want to note that James and Jeanette were at that meeting. And I think it's safe to say that the discussion was spirited and very complicated. Yep. Angie's name Angie Robley's name came up repeatedly as the person who could set us all straight when it came to explaining public school finance. Her part in this has been kind of behind the scenes, and she's been extremely helpful. So there's been months of work on this effort, and we have had the help of many people. Our staff and the city staff, as well as some elected officials in the state legislature and city alders. It was a long and complicated process, but my hope is that more transparency will bring better understanding from our community as to how schools are funded in the state. We forfeit almost $15 million a year to voucher and charter schools. And this has, as you can imagine, a profound impact on our district's budget. My bottom line is this: if we are going to be forced to go to our voters repeatedly for referendums, the least we can do is give them an accurate property tax bill. I'm going to leave it at that. I'm happy to answer any questions that anyone has about this issue. Nobody? Okay, then we're good. Go ahead, Andrew.
I just wanted to say that it's, to me, it was a little bit interesting that it was such a divisive vote on the bill, because I would think that those who are concerned about the cost of vouchers and the impact on public education, obviously they would want it to pass, but I had thought that maybe those who think that spending all this money on vouchers is great, if it's great, why wouldn't you also want to have that in center? But the votes bear it out differently, but I'm glad that in the end it passed.
Anybody else want to speak to this? Okay. All right, then we are going to move on to the consent agenda approval. Andrew?
I move to reorder the agenda by moving election of school district officers and secretary of the Board of Education ahead of the consent agenda approval.
Can I get okay.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, so we're going to move on then to the election of school district officers and secretary. This is going to be potentially a little complicated and procedural, so just everyone bear with us while we make it through it. Every year after elections, we have to do this process. So, it can get a little bit strange at times as we do this. So, it always starts with the election of the president. And so I'm going to open by nominating James Lyerly for president. Do you accept that nomination?
I accept the nomination.
Okay. No. Does anyone else want to nominate anyone else? Okay, then we still have to vote, right? Even though this is okay. Kinsey.
Lyerly.
So I think I'm supposed to say Lyerly. Okay.
Lee.
Lively.
Gerlach.
Lyerly.
Minnow.
Lyerly.
Cannell.
Lyerly.
Becker.
Lyerly.
McCoy.
Lyerly. So with that, we have, for the first time in 3 years, a new board president, and we're going to do a little shuffle here right now.
Well, first, I appreciate it, and I'm proud to serve the district and the board in this capacity. So we'll move on. The next position is the election of vice president, and I'll open the floor to nominations.
I move to nominate Andrew Becker for vice president.
I'll accept.
Anyone else?
I nominate myself, Lynn Gerlach, for vice president.
I will nominate Laura McCoy for vice president. You accept?
I accept.
Any further nominations? Okay. Hearing none, I'll open the floor for discussion. During this time, if you've been nominated, you have the floor. You can be recognized to speak on your behalf. Make sure that everyone understands motivation, why you'd like to be hold the position. We usually, recognize some decorum and have statements in favor of versus against other people, but floor is open. Lynn.
I would be happy to serve if the board would like me to serve. I think I could, I'd be delighted to serve with James. I think he's going to be a wonderful president. And something I can offer is a flexible schedule that will complement his more rigid corporate schedule to pick up some of the things that he won't be able to do, like when he's down in Madison and that sort of thing. And if the board would prefer that I not serve as vice president, that's just fine too.
Andrew.
Thank you. I would be honored to serve as vice president. I have served as vice president before. I think it's important that you have a president and a vice president that reflect different angles and different opinions. The meeting with the president, vice president, and superintendent really is a critical behind the scenes driver of everything that happens. While I don't have, it'll be some time before I have a retired person's schedule. I travel very rarely for work outside of Green Bay and have been able to make things work out when needed. I think it's really important to have different perspectives in the room. And I think my substantial history and experience is important to have in that room. I think that's especially advantageous as we have a relatively new board. So thank you.
Laura.
Okay. So again, I prepared something because I wanted to hit some talking points, so bear with me. So in preparation for tonight's meeting, I spent a little time kind of thinking about my 8 years on this board and trying to remember the various ways I've been asked to serve our district and this body. It turned out to be a long list, so I won't enumerate all of them. Some examples that did stick out for me are things that I do away from this table. We all know that the core of our service happens at this table in our bi-monthly meetings. This is where we discuss issues and take votes on behalf of our constituents. This is where we hear from our community and listen to our staff report out on the daily work of the district. But I learned early on my time on the board that there is a lot more to this job than just these meetings. Our district is one of the big 5 districts in the state, and therefore we have a responsibility to lead in a way that recognizes our large footprint in northeastern Wisconsin, in the state of Wisconsin as a whole. So in that capacity, over the years, I've taken on additional responsibility that, in the long run, helps inform my work at this table. Some examples include, I've testified 3 times at the state legislature's Joint Finance Committee budget hearings, most recently last month in Kaukauna. I've served for 3 years on DPI's Boundary Appeal Board That position has now graciously been taken over by our colleague, Cooley. I've served SB's resolution committee and was our district's delegate at the annual education convention for seven years. Closer to home, I am currently in my 7th year as a citizen representative on the Brown County Human Services Board, part of that time as vice president, and I also serve as an at-large member of Green Bay's Neighborhood Association. Finally, one last example, the most recent one, is that I was able to represent our board throughout the process of getting our 2023 board resolution regarding voucher transparency passed by the City Council. It took many hands to get this work done, but it got passed, and I've been told, though it's not confirmed, that we might be the first city in the state to accomplish this. I've learned a lot from these additional duties. Probably the most important thing I've learned is that people in this part of the state and in the state of Wisconsin as a whole look to our district for innovation and leadership. That is our reputation in this state. This has been proven to me again and again over the years, and I will work hard to maintain that leadership. My point in sharing all of this is to show that my commitment to this board is deeply enhanced by my work beyond the table. These other commitments help me do my work on behalf of students, staff, and constituents. And finally, I hope I've proven to this body that I've been willing to make hard decisions on behalf of this community and this district, even when it's unpopular, even when it's painful. I hope that is the kind of leadership that you will continue to support and vote for. Thank you.
Others, Alex.
Thank you. First, I want to express that I appreciate everybody's, multiple people's willingness to take on the vice president role and all of the important things that go with it. Along with that, I feel that nominating Andrew Becker is important for a few different things. One of which is his incredibly long tenure and depth of knowledge, not only in our district and everything about our district, but also the nuances of the politics and the policies. And I think going forward with what we're seeing at the state and national level, that's going to carry more weight than what it might have in other years. I think that's going to be a very needed expertise and skill set and knowledge base. The other thing I would add is that one of the things that I'm looking for as a board member and someone to support our entire community is a variety of different levels of change. And I think that having someone in these two positions that has not previously been in them at the very least is an important starting point. So with that, I conclude.
Others, Koo.
Every single election, we come to this point, and I've been here for many months now, and I get the opportunity to know some of you. And the 3 selections tonight for VP presents a challenge for me because, I understand the way that 3 of you work differently, but we all come to one single goal. And no matter which way that we vote tonight, I want you to know that I am an honor to serve with you, and that if you do get the position, I hope that you will continue to work as hard and also to reflect on some of the things that we do that needs a lot of attention. For example, the diversity in our community, that there's a lot of challenges that we need to gap those gaps. And also the idea that we have the foundation that we need to get our students up with the proficiency test scores, and those things has to be gapped. And either one of you, I think, will do a really good job on that. So no matter which way we vote, I want you to know that I'm all behind all 3 of you guys. Thank you.
Others. Okay, if not, I'll call the question and put this to a vote.
Lee,
Becker,
Gerlach,
Gerlach,
Minnow,
Becker,
Cannell,
McCoy,
Becker,
Becker,
McCoy,
McCoy,
Lyerly,
Gerlach.
we do not have a majority vote.
Okay, so here's what happens. I'm going to reopen the floor. If anyone wants to make additional testimony or in support, we can do that. No, if you would like to withdraw from being nominated, you may do that, but otherwise we'll continue to take votes until we have one person have a majority of the votes. So having said that, I'll open the table if anyone wants to make another statement. Alex?
I think that one of the things that just comes to mind is keeping in mind our terms and how that relates. For example, you recently being elected, Andrew still having 2 more years, and some of those types of things. To add on to what I said before, I think possibly plan, even though I know we do this every year, possibly planning and looking forward to, again, the next couple of years and the variety of different challenges that I think we all know lie ahead. It would also, I think, make sense to have Andrew Becker as a VP right now, and again, have that change and I guess coalescing with, again, timeframes that line up to with each other.
Thank you. Others? Lynn?
I did not prepare remarks, but I bet you I can think of something to say. I served as the legislative liaison for my first year on the board, and I did a darn good job. And I have served as your Head Start rep for 2 years and intend to do it for another year. And yes, I have only 1 year left in my term. You don't know if I'm going to run for another term. And we are electing someone for only 1 year. And so whether I do run for another term or get elected or not get elected for another term, I would be happy to serve for 1 year. However, again, I will say, if you would rather have someone else, I will be happy to serve on the board and just be a member.
Others? I'd like to speak on this question as well. And so I appreciate, like Koo, everyone on the board, and have worked well with Ms. McCoy and everyone. When I think of leadership positions, I think of them maybe differently. I think that everyone that has the desire to contribute at a different level should be given the opportunity to contribute at that level at some point in time. And that's what's guiding my vote tonight. It's not that I think anyone would do a better or worse job than anyone else. But in order to establish a resume that is long and full of contributions, those chances need to be given. When I think of the voting tonight, I also consider the position as it is a role in which there are opportunities and requirements that are can become near full time. And so when I look at the individuals that are running, I just see an opportunity for contributions that are in line with availability and scheduling that also is informing my vote. So. All right, hearing no other discussion, I'll open the floor back up to vote.
Gerlach,
Gerlach,
Minnow,
Becker,
Cannell,
Gerlach,
Becker,
Becker,
McCoy,
McCoy.
Lyerly,
Gerlach,
Lee,
Becker,
we still do not have a majority.
Can I speak?
absolutely.
I'll withdraw my name.
All right, others? Andrew?
so I just want to reiterate that I am committed as, in serving as vice president to, to being available and to making the time, as I think I've said before when I've considered running for president. I ultimately decided not to do that. I think you need to have a little bit degree more control of your schedule than perhaps I have sometimes, but as I've studied the requirements and am very committed to being able to serve as a vice president.
Thank you. Others? All right, let's open the floor back for voting.
Minnow,
Becker,
Cannell,
Gerlach,
Becker,
Becker,
McCoy,
Gerlach.
Lyerly,
Gerlach,
Lee,
Becker,
Gerlach,
Gerlach,
all right, so we do have a majority. So Lynn, congratulations. I think, did we make the decision that we would continue to reposition or?
Yeah.
Okay, so you need to come and sit here. Okay, next position. We are now to the election of treasurer, and I'll open the floor for nominations.
I nominate Andrew Becker.
I'll accept.
Other nominations? Hearing none, do you want to say anything or open the floor?
I'm happy to continue serving as treasurer. I think these treasurer and clerk are generally ceremonial offices, and happy to continue on it.
Okay. Kinsey, if you want to take vote.
Gerlach,
Becker,
Minnow,
Becker,
Cannell,
Becker,
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 McCoy,
Becker.
Lee,
Becker,
Lyerly.
Becker. Okay. Next position, the election of clerk. Open the floor for nominations. Andrew.
I'll nominate Laura McCoy.
Thank you, Andrew. But I'm going to decline. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Other nominations? Oh, Lynn?
Could I just suggest that maybe you or Laura, somebody define what the clerk does? That might help.
So Kinsey?
The clerk does sign off on all of our minutes after they're voted on. The clerk also does need to come in and sign a lot of documents. If we go to referendum, tax documents, things like that. So it would be coming into the office to sign documents at times.
Floor is still open for nominations.
I'll nominate, I'll nominate Cooley.
Thank you, Ms. McCoy. Such an honor to hear you nominate me, but I would have to politely decline. And the reason is not because I don't want to be part of the leadership team. It's just a personal philosophy that I think that any individual who just got elected to an elected office, in my opinion, have to fully serve the first term to really understand the insights and processes within that particular position before they move on to the next leadership position. That's just my philosophy, but I am honored. And thank you, Ms. McCoy, for that, but I would decline. Thank you.
This isn't going so well.
So we are in the position of nominating someone who has been here exactly one day. Lynn?
I haven't had a chance to ask her if she will accept, but I trust Cannell can do this job from day one, and I nominate Jeanette Cannell.
The quorum, please. Jeanette?
Well, I definitely would have the time to come in and sign the papers and have the flexibility. So I guess I'm sitting in Brian's seat, so I will accept.
All right. I'm sorry, Alex?
I was going to nominate her as well.
Okay. There we have it. Andrew? All right. Kinsey?
Minnow,
Nil.
Cannell,
Cannell,
Becker,
No.
McCoy,
Cannell.
Lee,
Cannell.
Gerlach,
Cannell,
Lyerly.
Cannell. Congratulations, Cannell. Okay, so as far as board trustees and positions and elections, we are down to the next one, which is election of the Secretary of the Board of Education, and that has historically been filled by Kinsey. So I don't think we nominate, I think we appoint. Is that correct? Yeah, Vicki, thank you. So thank you for serving another term. Okay. Lynn?
I nominate Kinsey Lair.
I'll second that.
We don't need a second, but I appreciate that. If it motivates her. Do you accept?
I would be honored to.
Fantastic. All right, let's open the floor to vote. Yes, vote.
Cannell,
Lair,
Becker,
Lear.
Lee,
Lair.
Gerlach,
Lair,
Minnow,
Blair.
Lyerly.
Lear.
Did I miss you? Oh, how did I do that? McCoy,
Lear.
Okay. Thank you, everybody. And I know that was difficult, and it's difficult every year. I appreciate everyone. We're going to move, there was a motion that to reorder, so that brings us back to the consent agenda. Andrew, you want to read the motion?
I'll move the consent agenda items as presented be approved.
Second?
Discussion? Kinsey?
Online voting is now open. All votes have been entered and the motion is carried with all board members voting in favor.
Okay, so I'm going to make a motion to reorder the agenda to bring item 9A, the naming of the new West Sides Elementary School, in front of the additional appointments of the school board organization so that we can provide some relief for people who have been waiting for that agenda item.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Right, so we're at 9A, naming of GBAT's new West Side Elementary School. Will someone please read the motion? So this is a motion that is a fill in the blank motion. So when whoever reads the motion, what you're doing is you're nominating a name. So as you read the motion, please provide the name that you would like us to entertain. Laura.
I move that the district's new West Side School be named Bart Starr Elementary.
Second.
Discussion? Lynn.
Of course, you know, at the last meeting, I spoke very much in favor of that name. And I still support the concept, but I would like to offer an amendment. I would like, and I don't know exactly how to do this correctly, Mr. President, so I'm going to suggest that we take the advice of the president of the Packer Hall of Fame and name the school Starr Elementary School. And this is why. We all received an email from Dr. Sipes saying that the Packer Hall of Fame, if we will name it Starr Elementary School, we will be able to recognize both Bart Starr and Cherry, and that the Packer Hall of Fame will give us a bust of both Bart Starr and Cherry Starr. And we had talked at the last meeting about, well, we could call it Bart and Cherry Starr Elementary. Well, that would be crazy. And I contacted Dr. Sipes and asked him, I said, if you're offering this, are you really going to come through for us? Because I would love to have an elementary school where the little girls walk in and they see a woman there. And most of those little girls are going to grow up to be wives. And there's no better role model for a wife than Cherry Starr was. And Bart and Cherry Starr started the Rawhide Boys Ranch together. They started the Vince Lombardi Cancer Foundation together. They did everything together. And remember, when he had passed away and we renamed the Walnut Street Bridge, the Bart Starr Memorial Bridge, she came and helped us dedicate it. I just would love to go in that direction. And I'm not worried that people will misspell the word star, because I'll bet Bart Starr's name was misspelled all his life. And I think the teachers are going to teach those kids how to spell star with 2 R's, and they're going to be proud of it, and they'll tell the community. And so I would like to amend that motion to name it Starr Elementary School.
So let's treat that as a friendly. So Laura, do you accept?
Yes.
All right, so the motion on the table is to have the district name the new West Side School District Starr Elementary. Other?
So Alex was the second, so I just want to make sure. No one seconded Laura's motion?
Yeah, that was seconded, but this, I treated this as a friendly.
But it was already seconded before we had offered the friendly. So does Alex agree?
Alex.
So I'm not sure of the procedural aspect of this, but one thing that I will always do as a board member is try to include I will include the people that have involved in the processes of things from their origin and at the ground level, if that makes sense. So since there is somebody here from the committee who was involved in that, or at least multiple people, is it possible to ask them to give a little bit of feedback on because those were multiple names in one of the previous board meetings that they did have opinions and feedback on, to kind of quickly go over that and what they might champion in favor, their thoughts? Is that doable?
So that would be some sort of suspension of the rules and opening. So is there one that would like to speak to? Please approach. Okay, so.
Tell me what I have to do. Do I have to
Just
move to suspend the rules?
Correct.
I
You
move
need
to
a
suspend the
second.
rules.
Second.
All in favor? All right, so. Table. Okay, so please, if you have anything to contribute or recommend.
I would happily contribute. I was the one that actually volunteered. The name originally was Star, and it was because I did research and found information for both him and his wife. I myself, as a mother and woman, was honored with how dedicated she was to her husband's passions and how passionate she was about the community that they came to and that he found for them to settle in. And I was honestly honored by the fact that even after he was gone, she continued their motions going. She did not slow down. She kept things going. She was still requesting helmet signatures from the quarterbacks and the newbies that came in. She was an amazing person. As a philanthropist, as another woman, I would be honored for her name to be submitted.
Thank you for that.
Just clarifying, because you're saying Star Elementary. So we were on the committee together, and I preferred the Bart Star Elementary myself. I just thought that his name, they both did a lot for the community, but I just looked at him as he was the Packer player. And so that was my preference, is to just go with the Bart Star Elementary.
Okay, so in order to name an elementary school after a deceased, 1 second now. Yeah, a deceased person, we actually have to make an attempt to reach out to that family. So I think that was done. Vicky, do you want to speak to the response?
Yes, that's correct. We did have an opportunity to communicate with Bart Starr Jr., and he is excited about the possibility of it being named after his family.
All right, Lynn.
I just have to add one thing that I forgot, and it's very important because I want to be 100% honest. The president of the Packer Hall of Fame did point out that it would not be until 2027 until the bus could be delivered, because they have commitments for the next 2 years.
All right, thank you very much, ladies. Now, so we have a motion on the floor. We have a second, right? Any other further discussion?
What's the current motion?
Right. Well, okay.
So if I heard you correctly, I have to move to close the floor?
Yep.
Which I do.
I'll second. Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Now, Alex, there's a friendly that changes the name from Bart Star to Star Elementary. Do you accept the friendly?
And can you please clarify what I'm doing by accepting that?
Then we will vote on the motion, and we will have amended the motion from Bart Star Elementary to Star Elementary.
So by accepting the friendly, obviously, at this point, I just accept the fact that we have a vote on it.
Correct. Well, so basically, the motion will have been amended. Well, Alex?
For now, if I think I'm doing this correctly, the way that I think I want it to result in, for now, I decline the friendly.
All right. All right. Well, we can open the floor is still open for discussion, right? Right. Okay, so that's what I was going to do. Is open the floor for discussion. So the friendly has been declined. So if you want to amend the motion, you have to do it through an actual amendment.
So I'll second the amendment.
Okay, so Lynn, do you understand?
He just seconded the amendment.
Okay. Now it's no longer friendly and it's just been a minute. So we need a vote on that amendment. So is there any discussion on that? Oh, Jeanette.
I like the idea of Bart Starr Elementary, but I also know that kids can be a little cruel, and I've been concerned about that because it could be abbreviated to you go to the BS school. And yeah, we could all say that's not going to happen, but probably kids will do it. I also like the idea of including Sherry Starr. And as you said, Lynn, that's a really long name, Bart and Sherry Starr School. But just to make sure that the star would be spelled with the two R's and not just as a star in the sky. So I like that idea.
Laura, then Alex.
Is it possible for me to withdraw my position on this amendment? Or is it too late for that? I would like it to be Bart Starr Elementary.
So you didn't have a position on the amendment. It was proposed here, seconded there, so you're neutral.
All right.
All right.
So I am struggling with this one, just thinking out loud here. And I tried, I'm probably over analytical, but at the same time, I did just kind of have a thought. And as someone who is an avid football player, coach, enthusiast, Packer fan, you name it, Bart Starr is a special person. And when I think about what Lynn said and the person from the Hall of Fame, my initial thought coming in tonight is that of the other two options, it was Bart Starr and then the other two that were non-star related. But when I think about Bart Starr, and I think about what we know about him, the kind of person that he is such a respectful, such an honorable, such a kind person that I think I can't help but believe that he would be delighted that his wife in some way would have the opportunity to be included in this. And naming it Star Elementary, I think achieves a number of things, but I think that above all. So I just want to put that information out there for people to consider.
Thank you. Others? Okay, so if there's no further discussion, we are voting on the amendment to amend the motion to name the school Star Elementary. So having said that, Kinsey?
McCoy,
No.
no.
Yes.
Lee,
Yes.
Becker,
Yes.
Minnow,
Yes.
Lyerly,
Yes.
Gerlach.
Yes.
So that motion carries.
All right, so now I'm going to open the floor back for discussion on the original motion, which is to name the new elementary school Star Elementary. Discussion. Okay, hearing none, we're now voting on the original motion. Kinsey?
Gerlach,
Aye.
Lyerly,
Aye.
Minnow,
Aye.
Becker,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
Cannell,
Aye.
McCoy.
Aye.
Motion carries.
So we just voted on naming our new West Side Elementary School Star Elementary. Thank you very much, everybody. Thanks the committee for the hard work and going through the process. Really appreciate it, and for contributing tonight's debate. Thank you. Okay, so we're going to go back. It's kind of been an interesting night. So we are now back on 8A. We're going to go through the school board organization appointments. We'll start with the legislative liaison. So I'll just give a brief overview of what this role is and the responsibility. And Lynn has performed this role as well. So if she wants to add. So this is the individual that we designate to monitor legislative activity and other activity, municipal, federal, because of the world we live in currently, that would be impactful to our district. And also when we have an opportunity to engage local legislatures, this person is usually invited to those meetings to advocate on our behalf. So, Lynn, you want to add anything to that description? All right. So, this is a great opportunity for first-year board members. It gives you an opportunity to really get involved, to understand the legislative landscape. But before we go and the chair starts our appointments, I'll let people nominate. All right, Lynn.
I will just add, if this will make you feel a little more comfortable, I believe that Denise Gomer Hutchison of Wisconsin Public Education Network really helped me get started. She gave me links and told me where to look and everything, and I know she would do that for anybody on the board.
Okay, so the floor is open for nominations. Okay, so the floor, the chair is now going to take an opportunity to nominate, I would nominate Jeanette Cannell.
I'll second that.
I'll accept.
All right, other nominations? Okay, Kinsey? Oh, we don't vote on that. That's right. These are not voted positions. Okay, B, CISA 7 liaison, representative annual convention. Anyone interested in this role? So, Ku, this is a role that you've played over the last year. Would you like to continue in this role?
James, I would defer to some of the newer member for this role because the fact that I just nominated for the School Board Boundaries Appeals Committee. And I think this year we're going to have a whole lot of responsibilities and obligations. So otherwise I would accept, but I would decline. Thank you.
Alex, are you interested in performing this role?
Can you just describe exactly what it is a little bit more, please?
So, Ku, would you want to fill Alex in what you were able to do this last year?
I think it's a great opportunity to see the process of what CISA does to support our schools, our districts throughout the state, and also the opportunity to network and also see some of the really inner workings of our entire school system in the state, which I think is a wonderful opportunity.
And when is that convention? I just assume that that's obviously a big part of it, and I want to make sure that.
Sure.
It's mostly about attending the one meeting. There's
Right.
other things, but mostly it's about that.
Wednesday, May 14th at 6:30 PM is the meeting.
So do I have to nominate myself?
No,
Or you're
so
appointing me and I
yeah,
accept, or-
I'm requesting or asking if you would fulfill that role.
Sure, yes.
All right, thank you. WASB delegate and alternate. So This is for the state convention and represents it to WASB. So Laura, you've historically performed that role.
I've served in that capacity quite a few years. Last year, last January, Rick Crossan did it. So yes, I wouldn't mind doing it again.
Right. I have cleared and I would like to go to the convention as well. If that's okay to be the second, unless others would want to do that. I'd leave it open to anyone else if they are interested. Okay. Oh,
Interested.
okay. Yeah. Yeah. Head Start representative, Lynn. It sounded like earlier that you were interested in continuing as the Head Start representative. Yeah.
But I should just add, in case I don't run for another term, this will be my last year. So remember what we did when I was new, Nancy Welch and I did the job together for a year. Now I've done the job by myself. So you might want to consider at some point in the year, asking somebody to start coming with me and training to be the Head Start rep for next year, just in case I don't run, Koo.
Yeah, then let's roll that and have that decision over the course of time. Now, board member school appointments, this is not something that we act on here. Everyone should have been able to review the appointments and the schools that you would be representing. Just remember that this does not bar anyone from going to any other schools. You just want to make sure that you reach out to the building administrators, create that relationship for these schools. And this rotates every year. And so you'll get an opportunity to be representing schools throughout 3 years. Okay. The last thing in this section, F, board member committee appointments. For new members, we have 3 committees, or they are 3, okay, they're not committees in the sense that they have agenda setting power, or we refer to committee or anything like that. These are individuals that we pair 2 board members together, and their responsibility is to meet with the district representation that for that particular area of speciality, and proxy for or represent the board in those conversations. And then typically they run that section of the meeting during the work session. And they usually end up being the people that make the motions during this meeting. So we'll start with education. And Andrew?
So I think we've often done have people express a first and second choice to the president. It didn't necessarily get settled at this meeting, but the first and second choices usually were just able to work themselves out.
And I'm okay with that. I was just going to open the floor for individuals to express, where they would like to work. So following Andrew's suggestion, if when I get to you, just for first and second choice, Alex.
Can you remind me what the 3 committees are?
So they're education, operations, and then policy. Operations, you usually deal with CFO, HR, right? You usually paired with David from an education perspective, and those that he report to him. And then policy, we spend time with Melissa working through policy changes. All right, Lynn.
I do recall that last year, it was, in my first year on the board, we didn't have committees. And then last year, when we had committees, I do recall that our president asked us to, I think maybe it was by email, asked us to let her know what our how we would rank them first, second, and third choice. And then at the next meeting, she had them figured out for us and announced it. So I was very comfortable with that. No, that's not right? Right, you did it. You asked us for our input and then you told us how it fell out. Yeah.
Is everyone okay navigating this decision via email? All right, so, and as we go through the course of the next couple of weeks, we know that we have a retreat coming up. And these are some of the topics that we may be able to address at that type of retreat as well. All right, having said that, that kind of concludes the section on appointments. We're going to go back to section 9, action, and we'll start with letter B, awarding the contract for new building automation controls. Would someone like to read the motion, please?
I move that Automated Logic be awarded the contract for building automation controls at the new West Side Elementary School in the amount of $893,949 as presented be approved.
A second?
I'll second.
Discussion. Laura?
Now might be a good time to kind of remind everybody who's watching that these have all been discussed in a previous meeting. We can have further discussion tonight, but that if we make our way through these votes rather rapidly, it's not because we haven't had any discussion. They've already been addressed in a previous meeting.
Thank you, Laura. Other discussion? Questions? Okay. Kinsey?
Online voting is now open. All votes have been entered and the motion is carried with all board members voting in favor.
Next, 9C, fee schedule. Someone like to read the motion, please? Go ahead.
Make the motion that the 2025 to 26 fee schedule as presented be approved.
Second.
All right, discussion? All right. Andrew?
So the commencement ceremony fee is unwaivable and it's $30. When did it go up to 30? I don't even need to know when it went up to 30. I'm gonna vote no because I don't think there should be an unwaivable commencement ceremony fee. Yes, I understand there's informal ways it gets covered, but I don't like people to have to ask for the informal ways for it to get covered. So I'm not gonna make it complicated and do an amendment. I'm just gonna vote no.
Other discussion?
I'm sorry. Forget everything I said. I read an asterisk completely backwards and I apologize.
To err is human, no worries. Other discussion? Okay, Kinsey?
Online voting is now open. All votes have been entered and the motion is carried with all board members voting in favor.
9D, policy 171.3. Someone read the motion.
I'll move that Board of Education Policy 171.3 designated retreat sessions as presented be approved.
Have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Discussion? Kinsey?
Online voting is now open. All votes have been entered and the motion is carried with all board members voting in favor.
Moving on to 9E, policy 345.11. Andrew?
I make a motion that we combine agenda items E through J, 9E through 9J.
So for new board members, motion to combine, it just means that unless someone has something specific that they want to ask or decide on separately, we would be taking a vote on all of those items at once. So we have a second
I second.
discussion. Kinsey,
Yeah, we have to vote to
oh, sorry.
combine them.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, Kinsey. Sorry, I had asked for a discussion. Okay,
McCoy,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
Cannell,
Aye.
Becker,
Aye.
Minnow,
Aye.
Gerlach,
Aye.
Lyerly.
aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, with that, that concludes the agenda for this evening. I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Now,
Did I do that right?
just so moved.
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
All right. We have an motion to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.